What jumps out about their defensive front seven? That is Merrill.
Explosive, athletic. They look great, look the part. You guys are, well coached, and they play hard. They play with intensity, and they're very athletic. So, once again, be a tremendous challenge for us to continue to improve. Times in the game last week we improved, and times in the game last week we did not improve. We all saw that. So it's another opportunity to go out there and get better. I mean, it's Big Ten football that's going to be challenging every week. We know that. We realize that. Last week was challenging, and I was proud of how we worked ourselves out of some things to finish the way that we finished. Talk about one-score games all the time. That one wasn't, So, got to travel and go up there and play an opponent on their field, and a good opponent on their field. I'm sure they're going to be motivated with how that fourth quarter went for them last week, and we will prepare and expect their best.
Coach, that 25-play stretch where you guys had the 19 yards, have you ever been a part of a stretch like that? And how do you keep your composure when it felt probably like a long period of time?
Yeah, it's tough. Ironically enough, the last time I experienced that was 2013 at Maryland. Hadn't been through a two-quarter stretch like that. That was tough. There is a lot that went into it. I can give you a bunch of excuses, but at the end of the day, it's about just executing, and we didn't do that. Every play that we called, and there's an explanation for what went wrong on every play. And whether it was one guy or whether it was a bad call or, somebody got whipped or somebody busted an assignment or whatever it was, you can pinpoint what went wrong on every single play, and so that's our job as coaches. But it was challenging. We just had so much momentum, and that first drive, we 3-and-outed them, and first drive was an outstanding drive. We actually converted three third downs on that drive. They gave us credit for 2 because we took the penalty, but Luke had got the first down on that. So we converted 3 first downs and then punched it in, when we're in the low red zone. So we were excited to see that. Then we sat there on the sidelines for 30 minutes, and we got more momentum, which was awesome, and crowd was into it and we were feeling it. And then we, next time we go out there 30 minutes later was after an explosive play by Jacory. The one thing that saved us in the second quarter is our field position was just as good as it possibly can be, with the punt return and a couple of turnovers and all that. So we had just outstanding field position. Now the problem is offensively we went backwards. But that helped save field position. It didn't give them great field position. Credit to our defense, who I thought played outstanding. Credit to our special teams, which played outstanding and gave us really good field position, but we just sucked, okay? But it didn't kill the team, because of field position, But, typically when you have something like that, it happened 2 times. You have a game-changing play, you usually go out there and attack, okay? And I called 2 plays to score. And we had Dane running wide open for a touchdown. We had Jacory running wide open for a touchdown. Had a MA at left tackle, and then we had a MA at running back, which caused sacks. And so we were going backwards. It just seemed like everything we were doing was going backwards. And so we get it to I think his third quarter, we get it to a 3rd and 1. And then Justin was our player of the game. He's played amazing, but he got a 15-yard penalty. I mean, that forced 3rd and 16. So just too many long yardage third downs that killed drives for 2 quarters, and it was dire. Both those quarters were going into the wind. It's not the last time that we're going to face wind. It's not the last time we're going to face weather. It's not the last time that we're going to face adversity. It just when that happens, it snowballs. And when it snowballs, you just got to have a spark to get out of it. And Dylan gave us a spark, right there towards the end of the third quarter. Didn't look like the wind affected that pass, but Jacory, he ad-libbed because the inside receiver didn't clear it the way he was supposed to. And Dylan found him and that changed the whole sideline. It changed the entire sideline, and so and I hadn't been here for the last 10, 12 years or whatever it is, so I'd really don't care about what it's been like, but you could sense that on the sidelines. But then we made a play, it sparked us, and then we played great the rest of the game, and so kudos to our coaches for not losing their minds. Kudos to our players for just hanging in there. And then obviously our quarterback sparked us, Ja'Cory sparked us, and then we played good the rest of the way and won by 11.
How was Dylan's composure during that period of struggle?
There's a lot on a starting quarterback. Okay, I'm just going to talk about that position, okay, because I think Dylan does an outstanding job at virtually everything when it comes to being a student athlete here. Obviously, starting quarterback, team captain, legacy, all the rest of it. But there's a lot going on, right? He was getting knocked around, bad snaps, missed assignments. You're going into the win for 2 quarters, which ended up biting them in the tail, right? I mean, it was strategic on their part, but it ended up once Emmett scored that touchdown, I was like, game's over, and it was a tie game, but I'm like, game's over. We all knew it was over, and so, you got the pressure of the crowd, you got the pressure of him just wanting to be great, and so there's a lot on his head, and when he's getting the crap knocked out of him, I mean, you're going to get loopy. And he was loopy, and he didn't play the way that he knows that, and we all know that he can play. But I'm just so proud of him for snapping out of it. And, he got hit again, and then the very next play, he threw that pass, So, he needs to continue to handle it professionally, which I know he will. But there's just a lot on that position. When it starts snowballing like that, and you're the one that's getting the crap knocked out of you, it's tough. Good for him for just hanging in there, making a play, and then getting us the win.
You mentioned the one MA at left tackle, but how did you see Elijah and Gunner come through that game at their spots?
They just got to keep improving every day, man. I mean, we just made that decision to, go with those guys. There's older people behind them that know more, but those guys are younger and they're the future, So they had a good day out there today, and they just need to put their head down. We got to coach them hard, and I think they're just going to get better every week.
I know the sacks take from the rushing
They
yards.
do. Okay. So let's talk about running the ball, right? And so it's hard to call more runs when you're going backwards. Okay, and so for 2 quarters there, we weren't very good at it. We weren't good at anything. Okay, so but Emmett had 6 yards a carry or whatever it was, almost 100 yards. We only called. I think it was 19 runs, but we only snapped it 52 times. I threw a lot of screens and stuff just because they were pressuring us. If we kept running the ball, you're still running it into pressures. And so my answer was screens and stuff. And, if we get into rhythm, I think that run number is going to take care of itself. Was pleased with Mosey going in there, running hard. He had a couple good runs. Makai's first run hit for a first down. I'm actually excited where we're at in the run game, and we showed improvement. The flow of the game is why those numbers looked like crap. The sacks are why those numbers looked like crap.
You mentioned Mosey, and it felt like on Saturday there were a lot more of those 2 running back sets, 2 running back looks. I know you in preseason you mentioned you were intrigued about those packages. What do you like about what that look has just given you guys, and what type of advantages it gives you?
Well, Emmett's playing so good, right? And in a game like that where you only snap it 52 times, I mean, he couldn't wait to just get back out there. He wasn't tired, right? And so I did that, and we had that issue in the Michigan game in Cincinnati because he's just such a good player, and so that just gives me an opportunity to get those 2 guys out there, and so if I feel like he needs a break, then I just call 20 personnel and that gets him out, and so that's how I've been approaching it. But it does balance up the defense. There's, been running 2 back sets for 32 years since I've been doing this, and so I think it's just something different that the defenses don't see very much. So I think it's a great package, and you can be very versatile with what you do with it, especially with a guy like Mosey that can be back there, motion out, we can bump him into the slot, and he can do some slot stuff because he's played that position as well.
How's Carter Nelson come along? What more have you seen from him?
Yeah, it's just the same conversation of just you got to get better every day, bro. And I thought last week was his best week of practice. we wanted to get him in the game. Same conversation. Luke's playing. I thought Heinrich played the fastest that he's played since I've been here, so that was encouraging as well. So those two guys continuing to play, at a high level and elevating their play. So Carter's the young one, and so he's got to focus on himself and what he does at practice to earn reps, and be ready when needed. Made a great play on the scoop and score. That was cool. Like, you didn't do anything, but I mean, what a play by Kahn. I mean, that we all saw that, man. I got attacked by Eckler. I was one of the victims. And so I saw that. I didn't see Carter, so I didn't even know who scored. And I asked who scored, and Sat goes, "It was Carter. Go over there and rip his tail because you did an X factor when you crossed the." I thought that was funny.
Coach, when it comes to the issue of giving up sacks, how much of it do you put on the offensive line versus Dylan and then versus the receivers not getting open?
It's everything. It's everything. That one time as I pointed the finger at the O-line, it's everything. It's the entire offense. One of the sacks, it was a bad play call. Now we just got kind of beat, right? But I can prevent that in that setting. When Dylan got beat after we would have scored and we went backwards, okay, it was a bad play, bad loss. I shouldn't have called the play I did, which forced 5-man protection. Tackle gets beat, and there's another negative play. So just compounding plays. That's on me. The running back. There's one on him. The receiver's got to continue to get open quickly, and then, Dylan. There a couple. One. I know at least one of them was on Dylan. We had a wide open end cut, and he didn't trigger it. Just got to be in the proper headspace and get rid of the ball. So it's just absolutely everything.
Try to pressure you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes, especially this bunch. They got those, the 29 and 9 off the edge. Young kids. I've never seen young kids like that with that much explosion. The backers will, they're gonna bring them. They line one of them up at end in passing situations. There's the inside guy, number 10, who I actually know. His grandma was my secretary, ironically enough. Kid was a quarterback in high school. He turned into their best D lineman. Proud of him. He was in the office a lot, but they're gonna pressure, and we got a big challenge ahead of us, and I'm excited about that challenge. Can we improve to the point to where we can protect the quarterback? My job is to protect the quarterback. I got to put him in position to get the ball out. I got to get those guys to protect him.
Did you think you could take advantage of some things with Isaiah? And also, how did you see Dane as a veteran handle a game where there aren't as many snaps, the ball doesn't end up in his hands?
Well, I'd say this. It was both of those kids' best game. The ball didn't find Dane, okay? If we play another 30 snaps, who knows? I mean, against Akron, the ball didn't find him until the third quarter, and then he had like 3 or 4. So once it finds you, it tends to find you again, and that's what happened with Isaiah. I was like, I got to get this kid the ball, man. And so I threw him that screen, and then he caught another one, and then he caught another one. And I was like, this dude's becoming a real player. And so that's why I threw him the screen again. Just to, when I sense that on guys, I force play calls to those guys. And I talked to Dylan a lot about this when we missed Isaiah in the back of that end zone, which we ended up having to kick the field goal on that drive. But I'm like, bro, I go, Dylan, who's got the hot hand at this point in the game? Who's got the hot hand? He goes, it's Isaiah. I was like, I would have flipped your feet and skipped a read just to get it to him quicker. And so that's my mindset. That's Dylan's mindset. So as guys get hot, which they do, you got to do what you got to do to get them the ball. But Dane blocked his tail off. He played faster and he blocked his tail off. Okay, and I was proud of him with how he did that. He sprung Emmett for that touchdown late third. I mean, he brought the corner with him and got on the safety. And so that's game-winning plays. And he's practiced well out there too. So the ball's going to find him. All right, thank you.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Coach, this quarterback from Maryland, Washington, what have you seen, just early look for a true freshman? How impressive has he been this year?
He looks like he's very well coached, meaning that he is obviously hasn't been sacked, and he really hasn't made many mistakes on tape. So he knows where to go with the ball based on what the coverage looks like pre-snap, what the coverage looks like post-snap. Looks like he has some really good blitz answers that he makes. He's a decisive kid and makes the throws. So, you just look at his numbers through the year. Every game he's thrown for over 200 yards, throws a nice ball. So I think it's definitely a challenge. And then he's got some skill around him at receiver some skill guys that can run, and a tight end that can get open and catch the ball. So it's definitely a challenge for us, probably one of our biggest challenges to this point, just in terms of the overall passing game, the operation of their passing game, how well he's coached by their offensive staff. So it's definitely a huge challenge.
How did you feel about your D-line on Saturday?
I think they continue to improve. Obviously, the results show that we hit the quarterback. We created more havoc and made more plays, in that regard. So from a results standpoint, you can see that we got some rewards there. I think the results came from not just the work we put in this week, but the continued work through the year and the emphasis of how to win in one-on-one pass rush, how to attack their protections, how to get off blocks, how to effectively move, how to get more population to the football. So I think that really with that, just like every position on our defense, it's all a work in progress. But I think because of the youth and the experience there, I think they'll continue to get better.
What have you seen from Dawson Merritt to, not be out there during the spring to, starting and giving you some quality snaps?
I think there's a comparison, kind of how we used Vincent Shavers last year, a good, talented young player that when you put him out there, he makes some mistakes, but the mistakes are subtle, meaning like they're real more technical and you can kind of live with them because of how hard he plays. He has a way of finding the football. So he has a nose for the ball, and as a linebacker, that's really, we can get some of his keys and his reads and his drops corrected, but he gets, when you watch him play, whether he gets 13 snaps, I think he played last week, or he's played in some games anywhere from like 6 to I think 15, he's around the ball, which, and he has size, and when he hits you, he's physical. So very excited about how he's progressing. I think we'll continue to see him in at least that role and maybe a little bit more in the future. So excited about him.
Same line of questioning. What'd you like from Rex in his first start?
Yeah. So, Rex really, I don't want to compare him to Donnie, because they were similar last year in that they both, when I'm talking about Donnie Jones, not like Donnie played in the bowl game, Rex really didn't, but they started to really progress and show signs of life at the end of last year. And then for Rex, he really made a huge jump in the spring, just as far as execution and really athleticism. Like Rex is a subtle, really good athlete. He can run. He's over 200 pounds, which I've told you before. I like all our players, to be big for their position. So he's got size. And then he started to show, like, once he got like a level of confidence to him in the spring, then you started to see like some coverage and physicality. And then he kind of took another step in the fall and started to really progress at the end of training camp. We played him a little bit in each one of the games and just feel like, he's continuing to get better. And as a young player, there's a whole lot of stuff that he doesn't know, but there's also a whole lot of growth opportunity there. So we're excited how he's played, and hopefully he continues to get better in that regard.
With a game like Saturday for Deshaun, what can that do for him, a veteran guy, moving forward?
Well, I think anytime you have that level of production, I was joking with him yesterday. Was he named the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week for essentially catching two of the easiest picks I've ever seen in college football history. But really it comes down to putting yourself in position, though. So we talk to our guys like there's a difference between man and zone. Like in man, your job is to make sure they don't catch it. In zone, it's to play with vision on the quarterback and melt your eyes to where you think the ball's going so you can make some plays on the ball. And he did exactly that. Like he did the work to put himself in position. Then all he has to do is catch those two. But then on top of it, I thought it was his most physical game. He was, Deshaun's is innately a physical guy, but he was running around, being physical in the run game, being a guy that was capping off hits, which we got to continue to do more. Meaning, like, just because somebody's tackling a guy, like, don't let him go down to the ground easy. We want guys finishing off hits and, being right on the edge of, we're not trying to be get penalties, but you got to be on that edge. And I thought Deshaun did a good job of that yesterday. So anytime you have success, it should build confidence, but it also that means nothing unless you put the work in this week. So hopefully he'll continue in that regard, or at least maybe inspire others to make more plays on the ball too.
You and Sierra kind of showed up last 2 summers ago at the same time. Can you talk about your relationship with Sierra and how that's grown?
Yeah. It has grown because we come from two totally opposite ends of the country. I'm an East Coast guy to the core, and Sierra is a West Coast guy to the core. Not to generalize people, but I think speaking on my behalf, I am as East Coast as you can get. But he loves football, and he's smart, and he cares. And so those conversations throughout the year, and you can mess with him and coach him hard, and he's not going to take it personal. He's not going to shrink from intense coaching. And so I think that's where it starts, and then the relationship grows because there's a level of trust. I think that, I've been doing this for a long time, and really this is the only thing I've ever done. So I better know how to coach, and I better know what to do and how to coach DBs. And I think they trust me in that regard. And obviously the defense has trusted me in coaching the defense. But then you just got to keep pouring into them. And then the more that the more production, the more trust they build in us, then guys like Sierra can come to me and talk to me about things he sees, and I'll listen to him, maybe more so than I would a freshman or a sophomore that hasn't, been in the fray. And then when he does say stuff, and the questions that he's asking are the questions that I'm used to getting asked from coaching so long in the NFL. Like, he's got a pro football player's mindset in terms of how he sees the game, kind of how he's starting to see how we may be attacked. I think he's also starting to appreciate, how we've been coaching him, like in man coverage and in zone coverage and those things. Like, the stuff that we're coaching him's working. So that obviously is a big part of developing a relationship too. If you're coaching a guy to do something, and then he's starting to show signs that stuff is working, then that's the cycle, kind of like as you were mentioning, that leads into the level of whether it's coverage production or tackling or sacking the quarterback or taking the ball away. That's when a relationship truly grows, is when you realize both sides are contributing. And I think that's kind of maybe how it's grown. That was a long-winded answer. I apologize, but I don't mind talking about players that have really sacrificed for us, and I love players like that.
Excited to be on the road for the first time as a defense and see how this group plays in a true road setting.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a great challenge for us. I went to school in that area. I went to Catholic U in D.C., which is like 10 minutes from College Park. So it'll be good to get back in that area of the country. But it's a business trip, right? And we're going out there. When we're going out there, we're going to practice our ass off over the next couple of days, and then finish our preparation, in the College Park, I guess Bethesda areas, wherever we're going. But yeah, it's exciting to get on the road because, you really test yourself in the mettle of your defense. You got to be able to, I've always believed that when you go on the road, you better pack your defense because, that's just what you have to do. So excited about the challenge, and wherever it is, whether it's in College Park or State College or where we're going to Minnesota the next week, you got to be ready to play.
Even though he's an older guy, have you seen Judy building confidence? Like, that was his first career sack just the last few weeks.
Yeah, I felt like he got kind of cheated of a sack last week against Michigan. He hit the quarterback right before the quarterback kind of fell forward, and then caused the fumble. So I think, maybe the parallel there is Deshaun. You start to see you're starting to reap some of the rewards of all your hard work, and Judy has that ability in him. He has that in him. That's not a surprise to me. He's done that at times throughout his career. Even last year, he would flash at times. So I've talked to him about that, and in order for us to continue to grow as a defense, I'm not waiting for other people to come along. I mean, I'm waiting for him to keep going. So, those types of plays, the impact that hit had on that quarterback, I'm sure, was substantial outside of just the sack, because it was a very physical sack. Took the quarterback out of the game for a couple plays, but those are the types of plays. That's the identity that we want our defensive line to have.
What did you see from the tackling on Saturday in terms of closing down the space? And
Yeah, I think it's still getting better. There's a lot of good athletes, in college football, and it's. I just still think, from a fundamental standpoint, we'll continue to work on it. We just got to keep getting more guys to them. When you look at how the quarterback got away from us, really that's the next step for us. The week before, we had, Cade Petchak was unblocked, through schematic, got to the quarterback in the end zone. Should have been a safety, and he escaped for a 5-yard gain. And then last week, we had We had McCullough unblocked at the quarterback on a pressure, which should have gotten us off the field. So we just have to do a better job of and then when that guy misses, when he's unblocked to make a play, we have to get more people there. We have to get more population around that quarterback. And at times we did, and when we did, we got him down. And at times we didn't, and that's what we just got to keep working on.
Quarterback, what other challenges does Maryland's offense pose?
I think they're a balanced offense. Their statistics passing game wise are better than run game wise, but we always have to pay attention to the run game. I think that their passing game is not just drop back oriented. They're good in the play action game. They're good in the RPO game, and then they really have three, but really two main guys that are averaging over 17 yards a catch. So when you have that, you better make sure that you're in position, that you're challenging them, that you've got population around their routes. And so I think that it's a combination of their scheme, which I think their staff does a good job of, the quarterback who really knows where to go with the ball, and then they like to get the ball into those receivers' hands and that tight end's hands and give them a chance to run. So whether we're playing man or we're playing zone, we've got to do a good job. So I don't get a Sorsby update this week or what? You gave me one last week. How did you do that? How did you do last week? They won again? Yeah, no, I knew that. I was just joking with you, but you're doing well. Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good day. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
What really clicked for the pass rush last week was clearly obviously one of your better games you guys had up front.
So I'd say really just focusing on it in the week, on the bye week we had, just focusing on getting to the passer, getting off the ball, affecting the quarterback. It's really, we just emphasized it in practice. Feel like it translated to the game.
How do you know when you've got a quarterback rattled? And he seemed to be, but how do you guys know it when you can see it in him?
Shoot, I'd say, you can really just tell by just, I feel like energy on the field, body language, how he's just how he's reacting, in the pocket, how he's moving and how the ball's coming off his hand, he's when we've affected him, just off those things.
How quickly do you feel like you guys got him rattled? It seemed quick, but in your mind.
Yeah, I'd say probably after the first drive, we got to him. I feel like that's really all it takes. You get to him and keep getting to him, and keep getting to him as much as we can. So.
What's the challenge this week? Obviously, a quarterback that's not as mobile, but a bigger target, 6'5", 230.
Right.
I mean, what would be the challenge with Malik Washington?
Shoot, I'd say he seemed like pretty athletic quarterback. Like you said, bigger body. But I'd say we kind of a little bit similar. Athletic dude. So we want to just really take almost not the same approach, but we want to get to him early and affect him. And just make it easier on us, make it easier on the back end that way. So, yeah.
Your first true road trip of the year, obviously Kansas City was a little different for you guys. I mean, how excited are guys to get out of Lincoln and play on the road in a different environment?
So I say we're pretty excited, going to somebody else's place and kind of take it over. It's always fun, playing on the road, being the going into enemy territory. So I say we're very up for the challenge, So, yeah.
Coach Will said that he had a word for you in the spring, motor, and said he just wanted to see that, and he felt like you produced that. What do you remember about that conversation, and how you've kind of tried to apply it to your game?
I think in the spring, he said that he really just wanted me to just focus on that, focus on my motor and just playing harder, and I feel like I focused on that and just try to, do it in practice as much as possible to just make it a habit. So it just, it's natural to me.
Did it really work for that one sack? You spun around. How good did that feel? What did you see on that play?
Man, it was towards the end of the game, so we knew they were gonna have to throw the ball, So, man, I was really trying to get them all day, like one real clean one. So, getting them that time, it felt really good. Yeah.
How big of a boost is it for this defense, the run defense in particular? I know you worked hard on it in the bye week. You had a performance like that, and how it can maybe catapult you going forward.
Man, we just want to keep building off of it, building off a good week, I say. We just want to stay consistent in that area. Yeah.
Anything else for Will?
Oh, good. Thanks, Will.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Oh, afternoon, yeah.
Whatever time of day it is. How good that sack feel?
That felt great. It's the first of many. Hopefully, plenty more to come. That's what I'm working towards.
Give us the story behind your post-sack celebration, and did you rehearse that a few times?
I did. A couple days ago, I was on Instagram scrolling. I seen Brian Burns hit it, and Coda was like Spider-Man. So I was like, all right. I was like, I guess that's the celly if it happens. So it happened. It's the first thing that came to my mind, so I just did it.
What was the reaction back home to it?
It was a lot. My family's really proud. You know, we've been talking about this for a while. Yeah, it was just really proud of me. I told him like, I'm not gonna get too high about it. You know, just trying to work on the next play, and hopefully more will come.
Will was just up here. What have you seen from a young guy like that, and how he's grown even since he's been in this program?
Yeah, since he's got here in the spring, he's grown a lot. He's taking the coaching to the field. You know, I mean, it's showing obviously. Even in practice, when we have coach reports from him, he takes it. He listens. One-on-ones, he takes the coaching that we give him about how he pass rushes, how he get off, set points and stuff. So yeah.
Gonna have more folks maybe from back home at this game in Maryland because it's pretty close to your hometown.
Can you say again? Sorry.
Are you gonna have more family at the Maryland game because it's closer to your hometown?
Yeah, a lot of my family members coming out. A lot of them it's their first time coming to one of my games. So I'm pretty excited for that. I'm excited to see them, and hopefully we can do good for them and show them, give them a good show.
How far a drive is it from where you grew up?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I think probably like 2 hours, 2 hours and a half.
The defensive line in general, just how much did you guys emphasize improvement after Michigan? I mean, what were some of the biggest areas you saw growth in last week?
Yeah, our goal was never to not let that happen again. Giving up 200 yards, it's not gonna feel. It doesn't feel good at all. So our goal was just to take that, learn from it, get better, apply that to this week. Well, the week after the bye week. Include the bye week too. Take that and just apply it. Sit on it, let it soak in, and then take that pain and oppose our will on an opponent that we played this last week.
You guys had a lot of success getting after the quarterback last week. Was there anything in the lead up to the game that you thought was important, or was it sticking to the same things you've been doing?
It was just being more violent than we normally were. Last game we felt like we wasn't as violent as we were supposed to be, and that was the main goal, just to be violent, get off blocks, and make havoc plays. That was a theme for the week, havoc, and just cause havoc. I think that's for us. That needs to be the theme for the whole season. So that's what we're doing.
I asked Will this question too. When did you know you guys had him rattled, their quarterback?
We wasn't really worried. We was just worried about just getting him down and giving as many body blows as possible. That's all we were worried about. And then our goal is like, if the coaches want to keep him in the game, we're just gonna keep hitting him. So. Thank you.
Thanks.
much are you looking forward to just going on the road? I know you're leaving a day early and that sort of test for this team.
Yeah, I think it's everybody, at least on the starting offensive line. I mean, we've all played road games before, so we know what we're walking into. And it's just comes down to getting those younger guys kind of ready to go, get used to being on the road, get used to traveling. It's good that we already had the road game in KC, but the game itself felt more like a home game. So it might take just a little bit of extra prep for some of those young guys to get ready for it, but we should be good to go.
Just from your experience, like what will an extra day help you guys with the most, being out there and kind of having a full day on Friday?
Yeah, personally, I like it. Sometimes, especially on those longer travel trips, it feels like, you get there, plane lands, and it's just right into the next thing up until kickoff. And so getting there a day early, I think it'll be a good time for us to kind of, just get our legs back after the flight, take a deep breath, just relax going into game time.
When they say they travel like your own cooks with you, I mean, is it literally the same type of stuff you get in Lincoln and you guys kind of just duplicate as much as you can?
Same quality of, we want, the transition from home game to road game to be, as seamless as possible. And I think that top to bottom, our whole staff does a great job of that. And so, even if it's something as small as bringing the cooks along, I mean, it's just great to get the same type and quality of food that we would get here at our training table.
What's the, you have any quirky travel stories over your 5 years at Nebraska? Something that funny that happened or frustrating that happened?
I don't know. I mean, I probably have a few. Might have to think about that one a little bit. Nothing too crazy.
Is there some part of the travel part that you actually really enjoy, like either the camaraderie or whatever comes with it?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like playing in other people's stadiums. I mean, nothing against ours. I love ours, but I just like to, kind of go into and I think, a lot of guys on the team feel the same way. Like we like to go into a different environment and kind of, step into deeper waters, so to speak. And so I think it'll be a good time.
Maryland's defense is allowing under 3 yards per carry. Just what stands out to you about their defense?
Yeah, they don't, blitz a whole lot. I mean, they're going to play you straight and they're going to win by technique. So it's going to be a technique versus technique game. It's going to be our technique versus theirs all game. And so I think that's, how they've gotten people is because so far, they've had better technique than the teams they played against.
How good is their D-line? I mean, it looks like most of their pressure is coming from that front four group right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're solid. Just, really good, high motor guys. The coaching staff there's got them playing hard.
How do you feel, obviously Elijah stepped in a left tackle and Gunner over to right, how guys merged together with that new look?
Yeah, no, I think we did a really good job of it during the game. Obviously hit a lull in the second quarter, sorry. But, the ability to bounce back from that I think was huge. And it really just came from all 5 of us getting on the same page.
With the sacks that have been allowed the last couple weeks, I know it's sort of spread around, but have you guys been able to kind of dissect where some of that's coming from and to help you going forward?
Yeah, it's not some mass epidemic. It's like a thing here, a thing there, and so really what it comes down to is just being more consistent every single snap. You can't let anything slip even for one play because that's when they get you. And so at the end of the day, that was all it was. It was just one guy off a little bit here, one guy off a little bit there, stuff I could do better, the whole line across the board. We all understand that. It's not like it was some crazy thing that happened. It was just the tiny details of our technique and our fundamentals and how we want to build our pocket. That was what got us.
Hey, one thing that Holgorsen expects is more teams are going to try to just bring heat and pressure, including Maryland. You guys kind of experienced some of that last year. How do you feel like you guys adjusted last season to teams kind of bring a lot of pressure at you, and what do you feel like you're ready for now?
Yeah, I think it really just comes down to our preparation during the week. Because, all those blitzes you pick up on Saturday, you really pick them up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so just finding any possible way to take the next step in our preparation, making sure we're all on the same page with the quarterback, the backs about, how we're calling this protection versus this front. Those are the things that will get all, the 6 of us that are responsible for protection on the same page. It'll make Dylan as comfortable as he can be back there.
Is one of the leaders of that offensive line, maybe the primary leader. When you guys hear sort of outside noise, how do you steel the guys against blocking that out?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always important to remember that, you know, the guys maybe, you know, DMing you after a loss or whatever, you know, never played ball in their lives. They don't know what they're talking about. You know, yeah, like maybe one guy does. No, like what they say does not matter. You know, the only opinions you should worry about is from yourself and from, you know, we say it all the time, like, don't take advice from a person you wouldn't trade places with. Like, if I wouldn't trade places with some random guy sitting on Twitter DMing me, why would I take his advice? You know, I'll take my coaching, you know, take advice from like those close people in my life, but that's it. Thanks, guys.
How easy is it to go from playing strictly corner to nickel like you've done, or what's the challenge of doing that in the middle of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just understanding the playbook. I think that I have a good I know the playbook very well, so like, I know everybody's job. So the transition isn't that hard. It's just like kind of understanding the feel of the game and just like kind of like the run fits and all that I had to get a read on. But I think I'm doing cool.
What has really made this passing defense click? You guys have obviously held that #1 spot in the country now for most of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just every week just being intentional about development. I think we're a very tight knit group. We always make sure to get extra work in whenever we can. Go over film, concepts, just stuff like that. So it's just about every week just trying to get better.
Coach Rule said you had him turn on the lights in the stadium the other night. I mean, is that pretty common? You guys try to get in the stadium?
Yeah. We usually go out there on Thursdays. The few times we had gone, it had been dark out there. Well, I really was like the day was kind of just ending, so it was a little bit of light. But now like it's getting darker, so I just asked them to turn the lights on because like a few weeks ago it was like pitch black and we couldn't see nothing. So.
Coach Roll mentioned you talked to the guys in the locker room about that last drive, like even Michigan State had. How important is that you just set that tone and keep it even when you win, to have that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we were doing a pretty good job throughout the course of the game, and I felt like we kind of took our foot off the gas during the last drive, and I think I was disappointed in that with us. Even myself, I feel like we kind of loafed a little bit and just like weren't as aggressive as we were throughout the course of the game, and I feel like over the course of Nebraska's. What people say is like close games are a difficult thing for us to win, but I think at this team that's not a difficult thing for us to win. I think that we're able to weather the storm and attack those close games. But once you do start to pull away, like you can't be satisfied with just okay we got away with the win. Like it's about dominating even after so you start to pull away. So I think that was the message that I wanted to tell to the team.
In you to speak up like that, or is that a change in the last year or two for you to be that kind of guy?
Yeah, I would say that I've always been a vocal person, just about my opinions and whatever I feel. If I feel something's wrong, I'll speak up about it. If I have something to say, I'll speak up about it. But in terms of, with the team, I think that's something that I've grown into, just making my opinion heard. And I think that, I have the respect of my teammates and I respect my teammates. So I think that everybody knows that it's coming from a loving place, just out of, wanting us to be our best.
What sticks out to you about this Maryland offense and the challenges they are going to present?
Yeah, they're a good team. We're excited to compete with them. They've got some good players, so it's just about focusing on ourselves. At the end of the day, I feel like having a healthy respect for them. But at the end of the day, we know we're confident and comfortable with who we have.
You guys have been home for a long time. I mean, what will be the biggest challenge of just getting out of here and going out somewhere pretty far away?
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a new thing for us getting on the road this time. I'm excited for it. I feel like it's a new environment. But at the end of the day, I think that's when you really have to turn to yourselves. Turn to the guy next to you and get the energy from him and get the energy from your teammates because you don't have the fans on your side in an away game.
Hey, Sear, when you're talking about moving from outside corner to nickel, closer to the run formation, and you start thinking about run fits and physicality, can you talk about how far that part of your game has come from your USC days?
Yeah, I would definitely say that I've grown in that aspect, physicality and tackling and things like that. The Pac-12 and the Big Ten. Well, I guess USC's in the Big Ten now, but when I was at USC, it was the Pac-12. So I think that they're two different conferences. Just in terms of the style of football, and I think that being at Nebraska has definitely allowed me to grow my physicality, and I think that this playing nickels allows me to display it a little bit.
Are you going to be consulted on the pregame movie?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely a group decision. People listen when I say I think that this is a good film. I've heard good things, but it's a group decision always though.
Somebody's got to at least defer you a little bit.
Yeah. I think I've got a little bit of sway in the decision making. Cool. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
How's it going? It's good.
All right, questions? Is that your first one-shoe touchdown?
Yes, it was actually like you don't really see that in football. So like that was my first one-shoe touchdown, and I had a top speed too. So like even if I had both shoes on, I just wonder like what would be my top speed like if I had both my shoes on. So it's pretty crazy, yeah. I knew.
Second shoe's weighing you down, maybe.
Yeah, just a little bit, huh? Just a little bit, but it's crazy because like I didn't expect something to like happen like that, you know. But yeah, it was a good play.
How good did that feel just for the team you had adversity in that game and the way you responded in the last 20 minutes or so of the game?
Yeah, it really shows what team that like what we could be like. It shows how we just don't give up and just how we can just flip a bad situation to a good, you know, and we really needed that, and it shows that we can just if we keep just playing how we're playing when we get our good snaps and bad snaps, it's just we just got to focus on what's next. And I say we've been doing what we've been doing and just playing good football, and we really need that. We really needed that.
Coach Holgorsen was in here and he mentioned that he wanted to keep going to you as the hot hand there on Saturday. Did you kind of feel that on the field that you were beating your man consistently?
Yeah, I play. That's how I just play. Like I like getting the ball, and when the ball's in my hands, I don't like going down or getting tackled, and I always make the first dude miss. So like Dana, he knows how to get me the ball, and when he gave me the ball on that play and I made that touchdown, it just shows what I can do with the ball. So like yeah, I felt like I was like the man to get the ball to and make the play, and that's what I'm here to do.
Dana pointed out you had one of your best games. He also said Dane had one of his best games, even though he didn't get on the stat sheet. How hard is that to do, or impressive when you're not necessarily getting the ball in the game, but still playing? You know.
Yeah. Well, as a receiver, you always have to do your job. Like you don't always got to worry if the ball's coming to you. You always got to block, run off the ball, and it just sets up the whole offense. Like Dane's a good athlete. Like if we didn't have Dane on the offense, everybody would just be double teaming me and double teaming Ja'Cory. So like it's good to have Dane on the other side because it spreads our defense. It spreads the defense and just balance it out for everybody. So Dane was blocking. He was fantastic blocking on Saturday, and like if we didn't have Dane, Emmett Johnson scored on Dane's block. If you didn't know that, and if we didn't have Dane in that game, like we probably would have lost. So. Yeah, I'm glad Dane was out there hooping and just doing his job.
How eager are you to, test yourself on the road? You guys leave a day early, just that whole experience bonding, I'm sure.
Yeah. I previously experienced this because at Cal we traveled a day before because we were in the AC or we just moved into the ACC, so we were traveling a day before. So I'm kind of used to it, so I know how it would be, but it's not bad. Like it's just going there and just getting ahead of time because we're going an hour ahead or an hour back. I don't know, but it's just getting on schedule and just making sure we're ready to play. So like I feel like that's a good thing that we're doing that, and we're just gonna come out ready to play and just be prepared.
How wild is this that this is your first true road game and it's
mid-October? I know. We had a 5-game stretch. Now we're going to our first away game. Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm just treating it's another great opportunity to play. And honestly, like, I just could not wait to go into another team's territory and just show what I can do and just make plays. And, yeah, I'm just excited to just go out to Maryland and just win.
How many times at Cal last year did you do the cross country?
Probably, I would say about like 6 times. The furthest was Wake Forest, and it was like a 7-hour flight. Yeah, it was pretty bad, but you just gotta get used to it. It's football. It comes with it.
What did you guys do on those flights for that long?
Everything was scheduled. So like we will just leave. We will leave on Thursday in the morning. We'll have practice in the morning. Leave Thursday. Fly all the way to what team we're playing, and then we'll have meetings and stuff like that. And we just try to find things to kill time. And it was a little hassle, but we just got through it.
Like a 7-hour flight, though, did they have extra special food for you guys, or was it just the peanuts and the pretzels?
just the peas and the pretzels, and just yes. It was pretty bad, but it comes with it.
What specifically happened, and when did you even notice?
Well, I didn't really notice until I got into the end zone because I didn't really celebrate because I was like, "Where's my shoe at?" I was looking down and it was just like, "Whoa, where's my shoe at?" And then I see as soon as I scored, I wrapped around and I saw Wish coming holding my shoe. He was just like, "Whoa!" It was just crazy, but yeah, it happened because the dude it hit his face mask. He didn't really try to tackle me. It slipped off my ankle and just hit his face mask, and then I was just running and just hit 21 miles per hour and I just knew he was not going to tackle me by how his demeanor was. So I was just running and just scored, but it was just a crazy moment because I didn't know my shoe came off as soon as I scored. Yeah.
Isaiah? Did you play running back growing up?
No. Actually, I played running back in the little league, but I don't really count that as a real rep. But yeah, I did play just a little bit 1 year.
In another era, you got a running back too.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't play running back. I could be a little running back, but because my body and how my build is, but yeah, I played running back when I was a little bit.
All good? All right.
All right, thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
You have a chance to kind of review Saturday's game. What did you like about your performance, and what are areas you want to continue to grow in?
I'm proud of the way we fought. The lows of the game and the emotion and everything that was going on throughout that game. We keep talking about the past, and I don't like doing that, but I think it is something to build on. Especially when you're coming in, and Coach Will's done a great job the last 2 years, and this is his year to kind of flip things around, and you can kind of see that. But proud of the way we kept fighting. The thing we want to work on is making sure and avoiding those lows and how we can get out of them quicker if they do happen.
Dana mentioned that was a game where he felt like Isaiah had a hot hand. As a quarterback, is that important to you? Are you always thinking about like this guy's kind of got it going today?
Yeah, of course. You can see it in his eyes. You can see it when he catches the ball and the way he bursts out of it, because you spend so much time throwing and working with somebody, and you just know. It's hard to explain, but you just know. And I think understanding whoever's hot that game, or it might be multiple guys, is just finding the ball and keep feeding it to them.
You're heading out a day earlier, first true road test. Is that exciting to, I guess, take on that challenge now for this team?
Yeah, we love it. We love it. Cincinnati didn't, that game didn't really count as a road game. We think it was a home game for us, but we look forward to it. We love the challenge. We love, going somewhere and putting our best foot forward and trying to win a football game, and that just so happens to be on the road, and facing a great team, and we gotta get ready, and we gotta prepare as hard as we can to get ready for this team.
Maryland's leading in not only sacks in the Big Ten, but also interceptions. From your perspective, just what makes them so effective?
They play fast. They play super hard and do everything right. They create havoc on the quarterback, and their DBs are very, very ball skilled. They know exactly what they're doing. So we have to make sure we're on our P's and Q's with what we're trying to do and accomplishing this game plan, or else they'll make you pay.
Indicate he thinks they're going to try to bring pressure and heat. How do you feel like you guys have handled that so far, and what adjustments do you want to make?
Yeah, I think every week's different on pressure and what kind of pressure they want to bring and how you want to attack them, because everyone pressures differently. But we'll have our answers for them, and if they don't, they don't. If they do, it's part of the game. We got to be ready, and if we need to adjust, we'll adjust.
How big is this 2-week stretch? Back-to-back road games. One's on a short week. One's kind of a longer trip. I mean, just when you size up the schedule, how big are these 2 weeks for you guys as you move ahead?
Yeah, you can't get you can't get two without one, right? So we're not even looking past this first game and to the Minnesota game, which I believe it is. So all our energy, all our effort, and everything that we're focused on is on Maryland, because you're going to play a great football team. And if you look past them, you look over them, you're going to end up with a loss and figuring out, what happened? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? So we want to avoid all that at all costs and put our best foot forward to win this football game and worry about the next after.
Dylan, I know you like playing at home, but is there a part of you in this team that just wants to get out of town for a week?
Yeah, we love home. We love playing at home in front of our fans and especially our student section. I think they're the best student section in college football. They stay early, but I think it provides a challenge. It provides a test, and really it just goes to show like everyone's super close. And we go on the road. That's all you have. You don't have the comfortability of knowing we're at whatever hotel we're at here, going to this movie theater. There's different things, moving parts, but I think if you just stay focused on the game and on the plan at hand, everything else, it just becomes a distraction, and we just eliminate those.
I know Pritchett had one that MA Dana brought up, but how do you think he did? And I guess how would you size up just him sticking with it to be in the role he's at now?
Yeah, Pritch has been through a lot coming here and what he's been through. So I'm extremely proud of him. He's fought, he's grinded, he's competed his tail off, and one MA is not going to lose us a game. So I know that's probably a highlighted one because it was for 6, but I don't think it's just happened. It's football. As much as you don't want it to happen, it happens. You just got to fight back and keep going. But Pritchett stepped up. He accepted the challenge, and I know he's eager to get better from last week's performance.
Anything else?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.